Somewhere deep inside you felt it. That strange tension right before something big happens, almost like life is pressing down on you. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. What if I told you the moments that feel like everything is falling apart are often the clearest signal that your breakthrough is imminent? Not because you've done something wrong, but because you've outgrown an energetic pattern and the universe is rearranging itself to reflect a new version of you. But that rearrangement often comes disguised as chaos. This is where most people get lost. They confuse the collapse with failure, not realizing that in the quantum field, collapse is what allows creation. Think about the double-slit experiment in quantum physics. Particles behave like waves in a pure potential until observed. It's the act of focus of intention that collapses those waves into a single outcome. But what isn't talked about enough is that before the collapse, there's disorder, a field of infinite probabilities, all vibrating, all available. When you're on the edge of a breakthrough, your reality begins to shake because the old frequency no longer fits. You're not failing, you're retuning, but the shift doesn't feel soft. It feels like emotional whiplash. Plans fall through, people leave, opportunities stall. Suddenly, your clarity becomes confusion. Your calm turns to doubt. And that's where the deeper initiation begins. Because the field is not asking you to do more. It's asking you to let go of what you thought was stable, so you can align with what's actually true. That tension you're feeling, it's the friction between the old self trying to hold on and the quantum self trying to emerge. This pressure has a distinct quality that separates it from ordinary stress or anxiety. Sacred pressure feels like being stretched between two worlds. One foot planted in who you've been, the other reaching toward who you're becoming. Your nervous system recognizes this tension as danger because it represents the unknown. But your soul recognizes it as homecoming. The pressure often manifests physically first. You might feel restless in your own skin, like your energy is too big for your current circumstances. Sleep patterns shift, appetite changes, sensitivity to environments increases. This isn't pathology, it's preparation. Your body is literally rewiring itself to hold a higher frequency of consciousness. Think of a caterpillar in its chrysalis. The cellular structure must completely dissolve before the butterfly can emerge. During that dissolution phase, if you could peek inside, you'd see what appears to be complete destruction. But that apparent chaos is actually the most sophisticated reorganization process in nature. Your breakthrough follows the same blueprint. Let's go even deeper into the quantum mechanics of transformation. In systems theory, there's a term called bifurcation point. It's the moment when a system under increasing pressure can no longer maintain its previous structure and is forced to evolve into a more complex, more coherent state. But here's the paradox. To reach that new state, the system must first pass through chaos. What looks like destruction is actually reorganization. What feels like resistance is actually realignment. This exact dynamic exists within your consciousness. Your thoughts, beliefs, emotions all form a living system. And when that system is no longer sustainable for the level of energy you're stepping into, it begins to destabilize. Not because you're broken, but because you're becoming too powerful for the old version of reality you were living in. Consider how a radio works when you're between stations. There's static, interference, competing signals trying to come through. That's exactly what happens in consciousness during a breakthrough. Multiple timelines, possibilities, and versions of yourself are all broadcasting simultaneously. The confusion you feel isn't a sign you're lost. It's evidence that are tuning into a frequency that doesn't yet have a clear signal in your current reality. Your job isn't to force clarity. Your job is to stay present with the static until the new station comes through crystal clear. In those moments when everything feels out of control, you have a choice. Contract back into what's familiar, or expand into what's calling you forward. Most people choose contraction because expansion feels like death to the ego. And in a way it is. The version of you that created your current reality cannot be the same version that creates your breakthrough. Something must die for something greater to be born. This is why breakthrough periods often feel like grief. You're mourning the loss of who you thought you were, even as you're celebrating who you're becoming. The relationships that no longer serve your growth begin to feel suffocating. The work that once excited you now feels meaningless. The goals that drove you suddenly seem small and irrelevant. This isn't depression or lack of motivation. This is your consciousness outgrowing its container and demanding more space to express its true nature. The intelligence of letting go isn't about giving up. It's about releasing your grip on outcomes so tightly controlled by the old self that they prevent the new self from emerging. When you truly let go, you create space for possibilities you couldn't even imagine from your previous level of awareness. The breakthrough isn't just about getting what you wanted. It's about discovering you wanted something so much greater than you originally knew was possible. Your soul has been orchestrating this entire process from the beginning. The pressure, the chaos, the confusion, they're all part of a precise sequence designed to birth the next version of your highest potential. Trust the process, even when you can't see the outcome. Especially when you can't see the outcome. That's when the real magic happens. Have you ever noticed that the moment right before something finally shifts is often when you're most tempted to give up? There's a reason for that, and it's not psychological, it's energetic. Before a quantum system reorganizes into a new level of coherence, it often passes through a state of chaotic uncertainty. This isn't just metaphor, it's a principle observed in biology, in fluid dynamics, in the evolution of galaxies, and yes, in your consciousness. You see, everything in your life is a frequency. Your relationships, your bank account, your health, your emotions, all of them are expressions of the dominant energy you've been broadcasting. But when you begin to change your inner state, when you meditate, regulate your nervous system, shift your focus, declare new intentions, the field around you begins to respond. And here's where it gets complex. Your current reality, even if it's painful, is held together by a certain energetic coherence. It's familiar. Your nervous system knows how to navigate it. Your subconscious mind has mapped every pattern, every relationship dynamic, every limitation. When you start broadcasting a new frequency, you're essentially asking reality to reorganize itself around a version of you that doesn't exist yet in physical form. Think of it this way. Imagine your life as a complex musical composition. Every aspect of your reality is playing in a specific key, at a specific tempo, with specific harmonies. Your job, your relationships, your living situation, your health patterns, they've all synchronized to match the frequency you've been consistently broadcasting. Now, you decide you want to change the song. You want to play in a higher key, with more complex harmonies, at a completely different tempo, but you can't just flip a switch. The orchestra of your reality needs time to retune. During this retuning process, everything sounds discordant. The old musicians are still playing the old song, while the new frequency is trying to emerge. This is what creates that feeling of being caught between worlds. Your nervous system is literally rewiring itself to hold higher frequencies of possibility. Your brain is forming new neural pathways, while old ones are dissolving. Your energy field is expanding while old limitations are collapsing. This process requires enormous amounts of life force energy, which is why you might feel exhausted, emotional, or physically uncomfortable during major shifts. The first sign is sudden emotional surges that seem to come from nowhere. You might find yourself crying during a commercial, or feel inexplicably angry about something that normally wouldn't bother you. These aren't random emotional breakdowns. They're energetic releases. Your system is clearing old emotional charges that were stored in your cells, your nervous system, your energy field. The second sign is old patterns resurfacing with unusual intensity. You might find yourself reacting to situations in ways you thought you'd outgrown. This isn't regression. It's your system's way of giving you one final opportunity to choose differently. Each old pattern that surfaces is asking, do you want to take this frequency with you into your new reality, or are you ready to let it go? The third sign is a sense of identity disorientation. You might look in the mirror and feel like you're looking at a stranger. Your old interests might feel foreign. Your old goals might seem irrelevant. This isn't depression or confusion. It's the natural result of your identity structure, reorganizing itself around a new frequency. The fourth sign is time distortion. Minutes might feel like hours. Days might blur together. You might lose track of what you did yesterday or feel like last week happened months ago. This occurs because you're literally shifting between different timeline frequencies. Your consciousness is learning to navigate multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. The fifth sign is periods of profound stillness where nothing seems to be happening externally. This is perhaps the most important phase. During these still periods, the deepest recalibration is occurring. Your system is integrating all the changes, stabilizing the new frequency, preparing for the external manifestation of your internal shift. Here's what most people don't understand about transformation. The discomfort isn't a sign that something is wrong. The discomfort is the sign that something is finally going right. Every spiritual tradition has recognized this principle. The dark night of the soul, the hero's journey through the underworld, the death and rebirth cycle. But in our modern world, we've been conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. We've been taught that pain means something is broken and needs to be fixed immediately. But what if the pain is actually the birth canal? What if the breakdown is actually the breakthrough trying to emerge? When a butterfly is forming inside a chrysalis, there's a point where the caterpillar's entire body structure dissolves into what scientists call imaginal soup. For a period of time, the creature is neither caterpillar nor butterfly. It's pure potential in liquid form. If you opened the chrysalis during this phase, you wouldn't find a half-formed butterfly. You'd find what looks like chaos. But within that chaos, imaginal cells are organizing themselves into an entirely new form of life. This is what's happening to you during your most challenging periods. Your old identity structure is dissolving so that something magnificent can emerge. The key is learning to trust the process instead of trying to rush back to solid ground. The sacred discomfort you're feeling isn't punishment. It's preparation. Your system is being rewired to handle higher frequencies of love, creativity, abundance, and purpose. But first, it has to release everything that's incompatible with those frequencies. This release process can feel like death. And in a way, it is. It's the death of the version of you that believed in limitation. It's the death of the version of you that thought you had to struggle for everything good in your life. It's the death of the version of you that was afraid of your own power. What's being born is the version of you that knows you're already whole, the version of you that understands you're connected to infinite intelligence, the version of you that can create reality through coherent intention rather than desperate effort. But this new version can't be born until the old version steps aside. And that stepping aside process is what creates the sacred chaos you're experiencing. So breathe through the fire and allow the field to rewire you. Here's what's wild and often missed. Your body knows what to do with chaos. Your heart, when in a state of coherence, sends a signal to your brain that creates emotional clarity. Your breath, when deep and slow, calms your nervous system and opens your awareness. Your intention, when clear, programs your field. So the question becomes, can you stay present in the shakeup? Can you stop trying to fix what's dissolving and instead trust what's forming? There's a reason this energy feels so intense right now. On a collective level, many people are going through what mystics and scientists alike have called the disintegration of identity. It's the breakdown of the parts of you that were based on fear, control, and separation. And while it may feel like the end, it's really the threshold. You are not losing your path. You're being redirected to the version of you who's already aligned with the frequency of your next chapter. When you begin to shift your frequency, you're not just changing your thoughts or habits. You're literally dismantling the energetic architecture that has held your reality together for years, sometimes decades. Think of your current life as a complex web of energetic agreements between your consciousness and the quantum field. Every belief you hold, every emotional pattern you repeat, every relationship you maintain creates what physicists call a coherent field state. This field state acts like a gravitational force, pulling experiences, people, and circumstances that match its frequency into your reality. When you start upgrading your frequency through practices like the trust shift, something profound happens at the quantum level. Those stabilizing patterns that have been holding your world together begin to lose their coherence. The field starts to reorganize itself around your new frequency signature, but this reorganization doesn't happen overnight. There's a transition period, a liminal space where the old patterns are dissolving, but the new ones haven't fully crystallized yet. At first, when you begin this process, it feels like nothing is happening at all. You might practice the trust shift, work with quantum principles, and feel frustrated because your external reality looks exactly the same. But beneath the surface, at the level of pure energy, everything is beginning to shift. Your nervous system is recalibrating, your brain is forming new neural pathways, and your biofield is starting to broadcast a different frequency signature to the quantum field. Then, subtly at first, friction begins to build in your life. You feel more tired than usual, as if your body is working overtime to process something invisible. Unexpected setbacks appear seemingly out of nowhere. Projects that were moving smoothly suddenly hit obstacles. People who once felt completely aligned with you start to feel distant or even irritating. Relationships that used to flow effortlessly become strained or awkward. This is where most people make the critical mistake of interpreting resistance as a sign to stop. They think the universe is telling them they're on the wrong path, that their spiritual practices aren't working, or that they should go back to their old ways of being. But what's actually happening is far more sophisticated and ultimately more beneficial. Your internal coherence is rising, and like a tuning fork that starts vibrating at a higher frequency, the parts of your life that no longer resonate with your new frequency are being shaken loose. It's not sabotage from the universe. It's synchronization. The quantum field is literally reorganizing itself around your new frequency, and anything that can't match that frequency has to either transform or fall away. This shaking, this unease, this feeling that everything is falling apart is what quantum physicists call decoherence. In quantum mechanics, decoherence is the process by which quantum systems lose their quantum behavior and become classical. But in the context of personal transformation, decoherence is the breaking apart of old coherent patterns to make space for new ones. The old frequency patterns that have been running your life are losing their hold, and your nervous system is adjusting to the new pattern you're anchoring through your practices. From a quantum point of view, this is the moment right before reconfiguration. It's when the wave of possibility that has been building through your inner work begins to collapse, not into failure, but into form. But here's the critical thing that determines whether this collapse creates the reality you want or simply restores the old patterns. What determines what the field collapses into is your emotional state during this period of instability. If you contract in fear, if you interpret the discomfort as evidence that something is wrong, you signal the field to restore the familiar patterns, even if they're painful or limiting. Your nervous system reads the fear as danger and activates old survival programs that pull you back into the frequency you're trying to leave. But if you can stay present and breathe through the discomfort, if you can recognize this chaos as sacred rather than threatening, you stabilize the new frequency you've been cultivating. It's like learning to surf in rough waters. The wave builds, lifts you up, becomes chaotic and unpredictable. In that moment of maximum instability, you can either panic and fall, getting tumbled by the wave, or you can lean into the momentum, trust your balance, and ride it to shore. So what are the specific signs that you're in the middle of a vibrational shift rather than simply having a difficult time? First, sudden emotional surges that seem to come from nowhere. You might feel waves of grief, rage, or fear that don't seem connected to anything happening in your current life. This is an emotional instability. This is stored energy leaving your field as your frequency rises and can no longer hold these lower vibrational patterns. Second, old patterns and triggers that you thought you completely healed start resurfacing. Relationship dynamics you thought you'd outgrown, fears you thought you'd conquered, or limiting beliefs you thought you'd release come back with surprising intensity. This isn't regression. This is a final release as these patterns get shaken loose from the deeper layers of your field. Third, profound disorientation where you question everything. Your purpose, your relationships, your spiritual practices, even your basic understanding of reality might suddenly feel uncertain or meaningless. This isn't confusion. This is identity dissolution, the necessary breaking apart of who you thought you were to make space for who you're becoming. Fourth, time distortion, where days feel unusually slow, surreal, or dreamlike. You might feel like you're moving through thick air, or that reality has a strange, unreal quality. This happens because your brain is exiting survival mode and recalibrating to operate from a higher frequency state. Finally, moments of deep stillness and strange peace that appear even in the middle of external chaos. These moments of unexpected calm are the new coherence beginning to emerge. Like the eye of a hurricane, where everything is perfectly still while transformation swirls around you. You're not losing your way during these experiences. You're exiting the frequency where your old life made sense and entering the frequency where your new life will unfold. This process is sacred, but it's also uncomfortable by design, because without discomfort, there's no detachment from old patterns. And without detachment, the quantum field has no space to deliver the new experiences you've been calling in. Spiritual teachers throughout history have called this experience the dark night of the soul. But from a modern quantum perspective, we might call it the vibrational rebirth, the sacred chaos that precedes every genuine transformation. Vibrational death of the outdated self. And like all deaths, it must be honored, not rushed, not denied, not escaped. Because what comes next is a level of alignment, creativity, and clarity you've never accessed before. But to reach it, you must stay present through the noise. You must remember the breakdown is not personal. It's mechanical. It's vibrational. It's preparation. In the next part of this experience, we'll explore how to work with this discomfort, not resist it, and how to stay energetically aligned through the shift instead of collapsing in it. Because the energy you choose to hold during the most difficult moments is what writes the signature of your next reality. And your new timeline is closer than you think. Sometimes before your life expands, it contracts. Not because you're going backwards, but because something deep in your field is making room. Most people miss this. They feel the contraction and assume it's failure. They don't realize it's a sign that their current frequency can no longer contain the energy they've begun to emit. But if you look closer, you'll see that your external life always reflects your energetic set point. And as you start to elevate that frequency through healing, intention, or presence, the field must rearrange to match it. This rearrangement doesn't always look like flow. Often it looks like friction, because friction is a sign of recalibration. Let me tell you a story. A man had been visualizing a career change for over a year. He practiced gratitude, meditation, and declared his intentions daily. Nothing happened until everything started going wrong. Suddenly, his projects fell apart. His confidence collapsed. He started questioning the entire process. But what he didn't see until later was that those apparent breakdowns were not blocks. They were clearing space because days later, a new opportunity emerged. One that didn't fit into his old identity, but aligned perfectly with who he had been becoming. The collapse was not punishment. It was the precursor to a breakthrough. Here's what the field understands better than your conscious mind. You don't just manifest what you want. You manifest what you're coherent with. And coherence means your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy are all broadcasting the same frequency. So when your frequency shifts, when you start feeling and acting as if the new reality is already here, the old structures that were aligned with your previous state begin to dissolve. This is the paradox of quantum manifestation. The breakdown is proof that the field is responding. It means your signal is being received, and the universe is reorganizing itself around your new frequency. Think of it like this. Imagine your life as a radio station. For years, you've been broadcasting at one frequency, attracting circumstances, people, and opportunities that match that signal. But now you've decided to change stations. You've begun broadcasting at a higher frequency through your practices, your intentions, your new way of being. The problem is, your external reality is still tuned to the old station. There's a period of static, of interference, as the field recalibrates to your new signal. This static period is what most people experience as chaos, confusion, or things falling apart. But it's actually the sound of your reality updating itself to match your new energetic signature. The key is learning to recognize this static as progress, not problems. When you begin to shift your frequency consistently, several predictable patterns emerge. First, you'll notice increased sensitivity to environments, people, and situations that no longer match your new vibration. What used to feel normal now feels heavy, draining, or simply wrong. This isn't you becoming difficult or picky. This is your energetic immune system coming online, protecting your new frequency from influences that would pull you back into old patterns. Second, you may experience what feels like resistance from your external world. Relationships might become strained as you stop playing familiar roles. Work, situations that once felt manageable now feel suffocating. Even your living space might start to feel uncomfortable. This resistance isn't the universe testing you or punishing you for wanting more. It's the natural friction that occurs when two different frequencies attempt to coexist in the same space. Your old life was designed around your old frequency. As you change, that life becomes increasingly incompatible with who you're becoming. Third, you'll likely experience periods of confusion, doubt, or feeling lost. Your old identity knew exactly who it was and what it wanted. But as that identity dissolves, there's a temporary void before your new identity fully emerges. This void can feel terrifying because the ego interprets it as death. But from a quantum perspective, it's the most creative space you can occupy. It's the space of infinite potential, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. The secret to navigating this recalibration period is learning to work with the field's intelligence instead of fighting it. The field is not random or chaotic. It operates according to precise laws of frequency and resonance. When you understand these laws, you can move through transitions with grace instead of struggle. The first principle is acceptance without attachment. Accept that the breakdown is happening, but don't attach to the story that it means something is wrong. The breakdown is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of success. It means your frequency work is actually changing your reality. The second principle is maintaining your new frequency, regardless of external circumstances. This is the most challenging part, because every instinct will tell you to revert to old patterns when things get difficult. But reverting to your old frequency during a transition is like changing the radio station back to the old one, just as it's about to tune into the new one. You interrupt the process and have to start over. Instead, use the chaos as an opportunity to prove to yourself and the field that your new frequency is stable. When everything around you is shifting, become the eye of the storm. Breathe deeper, move slower, speak more consciously. Let your nervous system learn that it's safe to maintain this new way of being, even when the external world feels uncertain. The third principle is trusting the timing of the field. Your logical mind wants everything to happen according to its timeline. But the field operates on quantum time, which means everything happens in the perfect sequence for maximum alignment. Sometimes this means certain things must fall away before new things can arrive. Sometimes it means you need to develop new capacities before you can handle new opportunities. Sometimes it means other people need to shift their frequencies too, before the collective field can support your new reality. Trust that the field can see the whole picture, while you can only see your small piece of it. Perhaps the most crucial skill during any transition is learning to let go with grace. Not the kind of letting go that comes from exhaustion or defeat, but the conscious release that comes from understanding. When you truly understand that the field is reorganizing itself to match your new frequency, letting go becomes an act of faith rather than surrender. You're not giving up on your dreams. You're making space for them to manifest in ways that exceed your current imagination. This kind of letting go requires a fundamental shift in your relationship with control. Most people believe they need to control outcomes to feel safe, but quantum manifestation requires the opposite. It requires you to control your frequency while releasing attachment to how that frequency expresses itself in your reality. Think of yourself as a tuning fork. Your job is to maintain your vibration at the desired frequency. The field's job is to bring you experiences, people, and opportunities that match that vibration. When you try to control both the frequency and the outcomes, you create interference in the system. When you focus solely on maintaining your frequency, and trust the field to handle the details, you create coherence. And coherence is what allows quantum leaps to occur. Remember, you are not a victim of circumstances. You are a conscious participant in a field of infinite intelligence. Every breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise. Every ending is a beginning waiting to unfold. Every moment of chaos is the field making room for something extraordinary. Your only job is to stay present, maintain your frequency, and trust the process. The new timeline you've been calling in is not just possible. It's inevitable. Because the field always delivers what you're coherent with. And if you've made it this far in the process, you're already more coherent than you realize. The space between who you were and who you're becoming is not a void. It's the most energetically active zone in the entire transformation process. Yet this is precisely where most people panic, retreat, and abandon their breakthrough just moments before it crystallizes into reality. What they don't understand is that this liminal space, this sacred in-between, is where the quantum field performs its most sophisticated work. It's reorganizing timelines, collapsing possibilities, and weaving together the energetic components of your new reality. But because you can't see this invisible architecture being constructed, your nervous system interprets the uncertainty as danger. Your ego, designed to keep you safe through predictability, begins broadcasting emergency signals that pull you back toward the familiar frequency of your old life. This is why understanding what's actually happening during this phase is crucial for your success. From a quantum perspective, the space between realities operates like a particle accelerator for consciousness. When you commit to transformation, you essentially place your current identity into an energetic collider where old patterns are broken down into their component frequencies. These frequencies then recombine according to your new vibrational signature, creating the building blocks of your upgraded reality. But this process requires what physicists call decoherence, where your old stable state must become unstable before it can reorganize into a higher order of complexity. Think of it like renovating a house while you're still living in it. The construction phase is messy, loud, and uncomfortable. But it's the only way to create the space for something better. During this decoherence phase, your nervous system experiences what feels like free fall, because your usual reference points are dissolving. The job that defined you might become unbearable. The relationship that once felt secure might suddenly feel misaligned. The goals that excited you might lose their appeal entirely. This isn't failure, it's recalibration. Your consciousness is literally outgrowing the containers that once held it, and the field is clearing space for expanded possibilities. The quantum field operates on what's called the principle of least action, meaning it always finds the most efficient path between two states. But efficient doesn't always mean comfortable. Sometimes the fastest route to your new reality requires the complete dissolution of structures that no longer serve your evolution. The first stage is disorientation, where your old identity markers begin to lose their grip. You might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself, your purpose, and your direction. This cognitive dissonance is actually a sign that your consciousness is expanding beyond its previous limitations. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to accommodate new frequencies of thought and perception. During this stage, the most important thing you can do is resist the urge to grab onto something, anything, just to feel stable again. The disorientation is temporary, but if you anchor yourself to old patterns out of fear, you'll pull yourself back into the frequency you were trying to leave. Instead, practice what I call conscious floating, where you acknowledge the uncertainty without trying to resolve it immediately. The second stage is integration, where new possibilities begin to emerge but haven't yet solidified into form. You might receive intuitive downloads, sudden insights, or unexpected opportunities that feel aligned but require you to step into unknown territory. This is where your trust muscles get their biggest workout. The field is offering you glimpses of your new timeline, but you have to be willing to move toward them without guarantees. Your logical mind will want proof before it commits, but quantum manifestation works in reverse. You have to commit energetically before the physical evidence appears. This is why so many people stall out in this stage, Waiting for confirmation that never comes because they're waiting energy is actually broadcasting doubt rather than readiness. The third stage is emergence, where your new reality begins to take tangible form. But even this stage can be tricky, because the first manifestations might not look like what you expected. The field often delivers your desires in disguised packages that require you to recognize the essence rather than the form. The perfect relationship might arrive as a challenging connection that forces you to grow. The ideal career opportunity might come through an unexpected industry or role. The financial abundance might manifest through a completely different avenue than you anticipated. When you find yourself in the disorienting middle space, your most powerful tool is what I call the trust shift protocol. This is a 3-step process that immediately recalibrates your nervous system and realigns your frequency with the field's organizing intelligence. Step 1 is the centering breath, where you take one deep inhale through your nose, hold for 4 counts. Then exhale slowly through your mouth while dropping your shoulders and softening your belly. This simple action signals to your nervous system that you're safe and present, which is essential for maintaining coherent communication with the quantum field. Step 2 is the field declaration, where you place your hand on your heart and say either out loud or silently, "I trust the intelligence that's orchestrating this transformation." This statement isn't about blind faith. It's about acknowledging the sophisticated organizing principle that governs all natural systems, including your own evolution. Step 3 is the expansion visualization, where you imagine your energy field expanding beyond your physical body, connecting with the larger field of infinite possibility that surrounds you. You're not trying to control this field. You're simply remembering that you're part of it, and it's part of you. This entire protocol takes less than 90 seconds, but can completely shift your energetic state from contraction to expansion. The key is to use it consistently, especially when fear or doubt begins to pull you back toward old patterns. Perhaps the most important shift you can make during this liminal phase is how you interpret what appears to be falling apart. Instead of seeing dissolution as destruction, you can recognize it as conscious rearrangement. Like particles in a solution that must separate before they can recombine into a new crystal structure, the elements of your life must sometimes scatter before they can reorganize according to your upgraded frequency. This reframe isn't just positive thinking. It's based on the actual physics of how complex systems evolve. In chaos theory, there's a principle called sensitive dependence on initial conditions, which means that small changes in starting conditions can lead to dramatically different outcomes. When your life appears to be in chaos, you're actually at a bifurcation point, where tiny shifts in your energetic response can determine which timeline you collapse into. If you respond to the chaos with fear and contraction, you'll magnetize more chaotic experiences. But if you respond with trust and expansion, you'll allow the field to reorganize everything in alignment with your highest potential. This is why your energetic response during the most challenging moments literally programs your next reality. You're not just surviving the transformation. You're consciously participating in creating what comes next. The particles of your experience are reorganizing according to the frequency you're broadcasting right now. In this moment, regardless of what's happening around you, your only job is to maintain coherence with the reality you're calling in, even when external evidence suggests it's impossible. Because the field doesn't operate according to current conditions, it responds to the energetic signature you're consistently broadcasting. And if you can hold your frequency steady during the chaos, you'll discover that what felt like everything falling apart was actually everything falling into place. The new timeline you've been calling in isn't just possible, it's inevitable, because you've become energetically coherent with its manifestation. The moment you stop trying to force your way through transformation and start aligning your way through it, everything changes. This is where most people get stuck in their quantum journey, caught between the old world that no longer fits and the new reality that hasn't fully materialized yet. They're standing in the gap, feeling the discomfort of being between timelines, and their nervous system starts screaming for them to go back to what's familiar. But here's what you need to understand about this crucial transition point. The discomfort you're feeling isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that your energy field is actively rerouting potentials, dissolving resistance patterns, and literally rewiring your nervous system to match a higher frequency. Think of it like upgrading the operating system on your phone. For a few minutes, everything seems broken, apps won't work properly, and you might wonder if you made a mistake. But that temporary chaos is actually the system reorganizing itself to support capabilities that weren't possible before. Your consciousness is undergoing the same kind of upgrade right now. The key is learning how to stay energetically coherent through the discomfort, because that's when the real magic happens. When you can hold your frequency steady while everything around you appears to be shifting, you become a stabilizing force for your own transformation. You stop being at the mercy of external circumstances and start broadcasting the energetic signature that calls in your new reality. Let me walk you through a simple but powerful technique that can instantly realign your energy field when chaos threatens to pull you back into old patterns. I call it the trust shift, and it's designed to work in real time, even when you're in the middle of a complete meltdown. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is about consciously shifting your nervous system from survival mode into creation mode, so you can broadcast coherence instead of confusion. Step 1 is breathe into the field. Close your eyes and bring your attention to the center of your chest, right where your heart is. This isn't just a metaphor. There's actual science behind why we start here. Your heart contains over 40,000 neurons, essentially a brain in your chest that's constantly communicating with your head brain. When your heart and brain are in coherence, they create a measurable electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. This field is literally what the quantum field responds to when it's organizing reality around you. Take a long, slow inhale through your nose, and as you exhale, feel your entire body begin to soften. Let go of any tension you're holding in your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach. Make your breath smooth and circular, with no gaps between the inhale and exhale, no holding or forcing, just a natural rhythm, like waves on the shore. This immediately activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's natural state of rest, digest, and create. Most people spend their days locked in sympathetic nervous system activation, which is fight, flight, or freeze mode. When you're in that state, your field is broadcasting survival and scarcity, which is exactly what the universe will mirror back to you. But when you consciously shift into parasympathetic activation through conscious breathing, you're telling your entire system that it's safe to create, safe to expand, safe to receive. Step 2 is say the signal. Silently repeat to yourself, I trust the flow. Now, these aren't just nice words or an affirmation you're trying to convince yourself to believe. This phrase functions as a vibrational code that communicates directly with the quantum field. It's saying, I am available, I am present. I'm not trying to control every detail, because I understand that my job is to maintain the signal, not micromanage the outcome. Each time you repeat it, feel your energy drop from the spinning thoughts in your mind down into the steady presence in your heart. Feel your nervous system recalibrate from anxiety into trust. Feel your electromagnetic field stabilize and expand. You might notice that your breathing naturally deepens, your muscles relax, and there's a subtle shift in how you're relating to whatever challenge you're facing. That's your energy field reorganizing itself around trust instead of fear. Step 3 is allow what's unfolding. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, which keeps you stuck in victim consciousness, ask, what is this making space for? This simple reframe turns emotional reactivity into energetic intelligence. You stop collapsing potential timelines based on fear and start broadcasting a field of curiosity and presence. And presence, true presence, is the most magnetic state you can occupy. When you're fully present, you're not projecting into the future with anxiety or replaying the past with regret. You're right here, right now, available to receive whatever wants to emerge through you. The quantum field responds to presence because presence is the only place where creation actually happens. Now I want to speak directly to the part of you that might be doubting this process right now. The part that's saying this sounds like wishful thinking, or nothing is really changing, or this is just another technique that won't work for me. I need you to understand something crucial about that voice. It's not the truth speaking, and it's not your intuition trying to protect you. That voice is the echo of your old frequency, trying to stay relevant. It's the energetic signature of who you used to be, and it's terrified of becoming obsolete. Every time you start to align with a higher possibility, that old frequency will get louder, more convincing, more urgent. It will give you 1,000 logical reasons why you should go back to what's familiar, why this transformation stuff doesn't work, why you're different from everyone else who's succeeded. But here's what that voice doesn't want you to know. It's not your enemy, but it absolutely cannot lead you into your new reality. What must lead now is your embodied awareness, the part of you that knows without needing proof. The part of you that says, I don't need evidence before I align with what I'm calling in. I don't need the result before I become the resonance. That's the fundamental shift that changes everything. Most people are waiting for their external circumstances to change before they'll allow themselves to feel different. But quantum mechanics works in the opposite direction. You must become the energetic match for what you want to experience before it can show up in your physical reality. Remember, you're not here to beg the field for what you want. You're here to partner with it, to become the kind of presence that allows the invisible to crystallize into the visible. Think of yourself as a radio station that's broadcasting a specific frequency. The clearer and more consistent your signal, the more powerfully you'll attract experiences that match that frequency. When you're broadcasting trust, flow, and presence, the universe responds by sending you opportunities, people and circumstances that align with that energy. When you're broadcasting doubt, struggle, and resistance, you get more situations that confirm those frequencies. It's not personal, it's just physics. The field is always organizing reality around whatever signal you're most consistently transmitting. So the question becomes, what frequency are you broadcasting right now? And more importantly, what frequency do you want to be known for? If you're still reading this, I know you can feel it. There's a tremble of something new forming in the unseen dimensions of your life. You may not have the language for it yet, but your energy knows, your cells know, your heart knows, something is shifting. And you're right on the edge of a breakthrough that will make all of this struggle make perfect sense. So right now, I want you to anchor this moment not with a belief, but with a broadcast. Type in the comments, I trust the flow. Those 4 words aren't just a statement. They're a vibrational code that says I am available, I am present, I'm not rushing the field, I'm attuning to it. Say it once, say it daily, say it especially when everything inside you wants to control and force and figure it all out. Because that's when the trust shift becomes most powerful, when you can find your way back to flow in the middle of the chaos. Because the moment you surrender the timeline, the field begins to reveal the path. In the next part of this journey, you'll discover what blocks this flow, the unconscious habits and energetic contracts that keep you repeating the same cycle, and more importantly, how to release them without forcing, fixing, or fighting anything. Because you were never meant to push reality into place. You were meant to invite it into resonance. Let's be honest, you've done the work. You've journaled, meditated, held the vision. You've even surrendered. At least you think you have. But why does it still feel like you're stuck in a loop? Why do breakthroughs seem so close only to slip through your fingers? Because even the most awakened people, especially the most awakened, fall into energetic traps that keep them aligned with the very timelines they're trying to transcend. Not out of weakness, but out of conditioning. So in this part, we'll expose those traps not to shame you, but to liberate your signal. Because the field is always responding not to your words, but to your coherence. And every time you unknowingly reattach to an outdated frequency, you broadcast confusion into the quantum field. So, let's decode the 5 most common energetic errors that block the flow during your transition. You say the affirmations, you follow the rituals, but deep inside, you're performing alignment instead of becoming it. Energetically, performance is manipulation. It says to the field, look, I'm doing the thing. Now, give me the result. But the field doesn't respond to compliance. It responds to truth. True embodiment is subtle. It's when your actions and your energy tell the same story, even when no one is watching. When you perform spirituality, you create what quantum physicists call interference patterns. Your conscious mind broadcasts one frequency, while your subconscious broadcasts another. This creates energetic static that confuses the field's response. The field receives mixed signals and reflects back mixed results. Think of it like trying to tune into a radio station, while someone else is broadcasting on the same frequency. You get fragments of both signals, but neither comes through clearly. True embodiment happens when every layer of your being resonates with the same frequency. Your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy field all broadcast coherently. This is why some people can manifest with a simple intention, while others struggle despite years of effort. It's not about the technique. It's about the coherence behind the technique. You tell yourself, once I see the shift, I'll believe it's working. But that's not how quantum reality operates. The moment you need proof before peace, you anchor your field in doubt. And the field, being neutral, simply reflects that doubt back as delay. Your frequency says, I'm not safe yet, and so the field mirrors that back. Remember, reality is not the confirmation, you are. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of quantum manifestation, because it goes against everything we've been conditioned to believe about cause and effect. In the physical world, we see the result, then feel the relief. But in quantum reality, you must feel the relief to see the result. This isn't about blind faith or positive thinking. It's about understanding that your energetic state literally determines what timeline you collapse into. When you wait for evidence before relaxing, you're essentially telling the field, I don't trust this process until you prove it to me. But the field can only prove what you're already vibrating. If you're vibrating doubt, it proves doubt. If you're vibrating trust, it proves trust. The evidence you seek is actually the byproduct of the state you hold, not the cause of it. This is why breakthrough moments often happen when people finally let go of needing them to happen. You keep asking, but how will it happen? And in doing so, you contract your field into the limits of your logic. In quantum mechanics, particles don't follow straight lines. They operate through probabilities, infinite paths that collapse based on coherence, not control. When you obsess over the how, you become the bottleneck. You reduce infinite quantum routes to your limited mental map of what's possible. The ego mind is designed to solve problems it can see and understand. But quantum manifestation operates through pathways the mind cannot predict or control. When you insist on knowing the how, you're essentially trying to micromanage the universe. You're saying, I'll only accept solutions that make sense to my current level of understanding. But breakthrough solutions, by definition, transcend your current level of understanding. They come through synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, and routes you never could have planned. The most powerful manifestations happen when you hold clear intention about what you want while remaining completely open about how it arrives. This requires a fundamental shift from being a controller to being a collaborator with the field. Controllers need to know every step. Collaborators trust the intelligence of the system they're working with. The quantum field has access to variables, timing, and possibilities that your conscious mind cannot compute. When you release the how, you give the field permission to orchestrate solutions that are far more elegant and efficient than anything you could have planned. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming responsive to the field's guidance, rather than trying to override it with your agenda. Error 4 involves negotiating with old identity patterns, trying to keep one foot in your past while stepping into your future. Error 5 is about misinterpreting the discomfort of expansion as a sign you're going the wrong direction. These final two errors are often the most subtle and the most sabotaging, because they happen at the identity level, where most people aren't consciously aware of what's driving their choices. But once you understand these patterns, you gain the ability to catch yourself in the moment and choose differently, because awareness alone is often enough to unhook your vibration from these limiting loops. The field is always waiting for your signal to change. The question is whether you're broadcasting from your highest frequency or getting pulled back into patterns that keep you cycling through the same timeline. The collapse isn't a curse, it's a clearing. The struggle isn't a signal to stop. It's a sign you're near the edge of a quantum shift. But knowledge alone won't create the shift. What changes everything is how you move through it. So let's bring this full circle with a simple practice that stabilizes your nervous system, aligns your energy, and reinforces the signal of surrender without losing your power. This is called the Quantum Calm Protocol, and it's your gateway to conscious reality creation. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for safety or threat, and during periods of transformation, it often interprets new frequencies as danger. This creates a biological contradiction where your soul is expanding, but your body is contracting. The Quantum Calm Protocol works by hijacking this survival response and redirecting it toward coherence instead of chaos. Research shows that it takes approximately 90 seconds for the biochemical component of emotion to completely flush through your system. This means you have a 90-second window where you can consciously intervene and shift your entire energetic broadcast. The protocol leverages this natural reset cycle by combining breathwork, somatic awareness, and quantum field alignment into one integrated practice. When you activate this sequence during moments of intensity, you're literally reprogramming your nervous system to recognize expansion as safety rather than threat. Your body begins to understand that growth feels different from danger, and discomfort becomes a signal to breathe deeper rather than contract harder. This is how you train your system to stay open during the exact moments when breakthrough wants to occur. Step 1 is the centering breath. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly, and take the deepest breath you've taken all day. But here's the key. Breathe as if you're drawing energy up from the earth through your feet and down from the cosmos through your crown. This isn't just oxygen you're pulling in, it's coherent energy that realigns your entire field. As you exhale, imagine any tension, confusion, or resistance flowing out through your hands and feet back into the earth to be composted into something useful. This breath alone shifts you from sympathetic nervous system activation into parasympathetic coherence, creating the biological foundation for quantum alignment. Step 2 is the field declaration. With your next breath, speak or think these words with full body conviction. I am safe in my expansion. I trust the intelligence of this process. This isn't positive thinking, it's energetic programming. You're literally broadcasting a new frequency to your cells, your nervous system, and the quantum field around you. Your body responds to the vibration of certainty, not the content of hope. When you declare your safety and expansion, you're giving your nervous system permission to stay open during transformation instead of slamming shut at the first sign of unfamiliarity. This declaration becomes an anchor point that you can return to whenever old patterns try to pull you back into survival mode. Step 3 is the quantum visualization. As you breathe normally now, imagine yourself as a radio tower broadcasting a clear, coherent signal into the field of infinite possibility. See your energy as a sphere of light expanding from your heart center, carrying the frequency of your highest timeline. Visualize this light dissolving any static, interference, or old programming that might be distorting your signal. Feel yourself becoming so clear, so aligned, that the field has no choice but to respond with matching circumstances. This isn't fantasy, it's applied quantum mechanics. You're using focused intention to collapse wave functions of possibility into the specific reality you're choosing to experience. The visualization anchors your new frequency in your body so that even when external circumstances haven't caught up yet, you remain internally aligned with your breakthrough. The power of the Quantum Calm Protocol lies not in perfecting it once, but in applying it consistently during the moments when you most want to abandon your process. Use it when old patterns surface and try to convince you that transformation isn't working. Apply it when synchronicities appear, but outcomes seem delayed. Activate it when your logical mind starts questioning whether quantum principles are real or just wishful thinking. The protocol becomes most effective when you practice it during calm moments, building the neural pathways before you need them in crisis. This is like training your nervous system to recognize the frequency of breakthrough so that when real opportunities arrive, your body doesn't reject them as foreign. Start with once in morning to set your energetic tone for the day, and once before sleep to integrate any shifts that occurred, but keep it available as an emergency reset whenever you feel yourself collapsing back into old frequency patterns. Remember, you're not trying to eliminate discomfort. You're training yourself to breathe through it while maintaining your highest signal. Each time you choose the protocol over panic, you're literally rewiring your brain to associate expansion with safety. Over time, your nervous system begins to crave growth instead of fearing it, and transformation becomes your natural state, rather than a struggle. Here's the single most important mindset to embody during this transition, the one that turns temporary discomfort into permanent transformation. You are not a victim of circumstances trying to get your life together. You are a conscious signal broadcaster, and every moment is an opportunity to transmit the frequency of your next reality. This shifts you from reactive to creative, from hoping for change to generating it. When you see yourself as a broadcaster, every challenge becomes data about what frequency you're currently transmitting. If chaos keeps showing up, you're broadcasting chaos. If opportunities keep missing you, you're broadcasting unavailability. But the moment you recognize this, you have the power to adjust your signal. You stop asking why things are happening to you and start asking what energy you're putting out that's attracting these experiences. This isn't about blame, it's about empowerment. You become the conscious creator of your reality rather than a passive recipient of whatever shows up. From this place, the Quantum Calm Protocol becomes not just a tool for managing stress, but a technology for reality creation. Each time you use it, you're not just calming your nervous system, you're literally programming your next timeline. The frequency you hold during your most challenging moments becomes the foundation of what you experience next. So choose consciously. Breathe consciously. Broadcast consciously. Your breakthrough is not coming from somewhere else. It's emerging from the quality of presence you bring to this moment right now. The moment you feel your world tilting into chaos, you have exactly 90 seconds to completely reset your energetic broadcast and realign with your highest timeline. This isn't just another breathing exercise or mindfulness technique. This is a quantum protocol that works at the level of your nervous system, your energy field, and your reality programming all at once. Most people spend hours, days, even weeks trying to think their way out of energetic spirals. But what if I told you that 3 specific steps, practiced for just 90 seconds, could shift you from confusion to clarity, from fear to flow, from resistance to alignment? The science behind this protocol draws from heart coherence research, quantum field theory, and nervous system regulation. When you're in a state of fear or confusion, your heart rhythm becomes chaotic, your brain waves scatter, and your energy field broadcasts incoherent signals to the quantum field. This incoherence attracts more chaos, more confusion, more evidence that life is falling apart. But coherence works like a magnet for aligned outcomes. When your heart, breath, brain, and energy fields synchronize, you become a clear signal broadcaster rather than a static generator. Step 1 begins with the centering breath, and this isn't your typical meditation instruction. You can do this sitting, standing, even walking. Close your eyes if possible, but if you're in public or driving, simply soften your gaze. Take a slow, deliberate inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Feel the air filling your belly first, then your chest, expanding your entire torso like a balloon. Hold that breath for a count of 2, not with tension but with gentle suspension. Now exhale through your mouth for a count of 6, making a soft whoosh sound as you release. This isn't just relaxation, it's nervous system recalibration. The 4-2-6 pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode that allows your body to remember it's safe. Repeat this pattern 2 more times for a total of 3 complete breaths. With each exhale, imagine releasing all false urgency from your cellular memory. False urgency is the energy that makes everything feel like an emergency, when it's actually just transformation in motion. Feel yourself dropping out of survival mode and into presence. Not presence as a concept you understand intellectually, but presence as a frequency your body recognizes and aligns with. By the end of these 3 breaths, your nervous system has shifted from fight or flight into a state of coherent awareness. Your heart rhythm has stabilized, your brain waves have synchronized, and your energy field has begun broadcasting clarity instead of chaos. This is the foundation for everything that follows. Step 2 is the field declaration, and this is where most people miss the power of this protocol. Place your hand gently over your heart, not your chest, but specifically over your heart center. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in your body, 60 times greater than your brain. When you place your hand here, you're creating a feedback loop between your conscious intention and your body's most powerful energy broadcaster. Now say these words, either silently or aloud. Even this is part of my alignment. And let those words echo through your entire energy field. Feel them dissolving resistance at the cellular level. This phrase is not positive thinking or spiritual bypassing. It's a quantum statement that acknowledges the intelligence of your transformation process. When you declare that even chaos, even confusion, even apparent setbacks are part of your alignment, you stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. Resistance creates static in your energetic broadcast. Acceptance creates coherence. The quantum field responds to coherence by organizing circumstances to match your energetic signature. So when you declare alignment in the middle of chaos, you're literally programming the field to rearrange your reality according to this higher frequency, rather than your fear frequency. Feel these words settling into your bones, your blood, your breath. You are not off track. You are not behind schedule. You are not doing it wrong. You are mid-transformation, and everything that feels like falling apart is actually falling into perfect place. This declaration rewrites the story your nervous system is telling itself about your current experience. Instead of broadcasting emergency, you're broadcasting trust. Instead of attracting more chaos, you're magnetizing coherent solutions. Step 3 is where the real magic happens, because this is where you consciously program your next timeline. In your mind's eye, visualize your current chaos. See the people who are confusing you, the decisions that feel overwhelming, the emotions that seem too big to handle. Picture all of these elements as particles, scattered and swirling in apparent disorder. This isn't about analyzing or trying to solve anything. It's about seeing your life circumstances as energy in motion rather than fixed problems. Now breathe deeply, and with each breath, watch those particles begin to reorganize. Not according to your fear about what might happen, but according to the frequency you're broadcasting right now. See them settling into new patterns, new configurations, new possibilities that you couldn't perceive when you were caught in the chaos. The particles aren't disappearing. They're finding their right relationship to each other. The people aren't leaving your life. They're moving into their correct positions. The decisions aren't becoming harder, they're becoming obvious. The emotions aren't overwhelming you. They're moving through you and transforming into clarity. This visualization isn't wishful thinking, it's quantum programming. When you hold an image in coherent awareness while your nervous system is regulated, you're literally broadcasting that pattern to the morphic field. The field then begins organizing physical reality to match the energetic blueprint you've just created. Let this image of reorganization anchor deeply in your awareness. Make it the metaphor you return to every time doubt tries to convince you that chaos means failure. Chaos means recalibration. Confusion means new information is integrating. Discomfort means you're expanding beyond your previous limitations. By the end of these 90 seconds, you've shifted from being a victim of circumstances to being a conscious creator of your reality. You've moved from reacting to chaos to programming coherence. You've transformed from someone who gets thrown off course by temporary turbulence to someone who uses turbulence as fuel for breakthrough. This protocol works because it addresses transformation at every level simultaneously. Your nervous system learns to stay regulated during change. Your energy field learns to broadcast coherence instead of confusion. Your consciousness learns to see rearrangement instead of collapse. And the quantum field learns to respond to your coherent signal, rather than your chaotic static. Use this protocol every morning to set your energetic tone for the day. Use it in the middle of breakdowns to reset your frequency in real time. Use it whenever you feel your vibration dropping into old patterns of fear, doubt, or resistance. Remember, you're not being tested, you're being calibrated. This phase of your life isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what's always been whole. You are a signal broadcaster, not a statistic. A conscious creator, not a victim of circumstance. A frequency stabilizer, not someone who gets destabilized by temporary chaos. When you stop trying to outthink the field and instead become coherent within it, everything changes. Your reality reorganizes to match your inner state, rather than your inner state being controlled by external chaos. This is the power of the 90-second quantum reset. Not just calming your nervous system, but literally programming your next timeline with the quality of presence you bring to your most challenging moments.